specializes in adult literacy. So for all our tips, we raise some money for the program there, and it's still amazing in our country today that we still have adults that still struggle to read and understand what's in the newspaper, how to fill out simple forms, and that program is doing great work up there. So hello to all the folks up there at 21 East. You're doing a great job, and we were more than happy to perform, and we had a great crowd, and we look forward to returning again. You know, Reed, we've been talking a lot about the economy and the economy, and it just goes on and on and on. And, you know, I started to think, well, gee, you know, it should be getting better here soon, but it really hasn't. And I know a lot of folks are stressing, and the more I read and I look around and talk to people that I know, there are folks that are really struggling out there. And there's an event coming up that will be helpful to some folks that are really, really down at the stress level. And there's a concert coming up here on August 18th, and I have a poster here that tells you a little bit about it. And we're going to zoom in on that maybe, I don't know, right there you go. Super Summer Folk Festival. And as you can see, and hang right on there, Randy, for a bit so I can read it, because it's going to be myself and Bill. We're going to be the kickoff group starting at 5:30 that day. And then, of course, Bill Ward and Amanda Barton, they're like standards in this county. A group called Zamira, and then the Wind River, all folk music. Bill and I are going to be doing Irish American music. The others are going to do some bluegrass and so forth. And here's the deal, folks. There's a lot of folks in our county that are struggling, and the soup kitchen, I forgot how many thousands of meals they serve every year, much like a lot of the other soup kitchens in the area, but this is the big one. And for $10, you come in, you get to go to the concert, you get a bowl as part of the deal, and a variety of soup. And we'll be performing, like I said, entertainment, and what a great opportunity to support a really good project in our community. Fortunately, a lot of these concerts are spaced out throughout the summer, so this is just another great concert that you're going to be able to see some local entertainment and to support some folks that are really stressing because it's the economy. And I hope to see all of you out there in Bemis Point. I'll be on the floating stage taking Dramamine. Hopefully I don't get seasick that day. So anyways, let's hang together as a county, keep supporting each other, and especially for those that are really in need. Back to you, Reed.
Thanks a lot. John just does ads now. Thank you, John. We have with us a terrific guest. Her name is Dr. Marianne Spanos, and she is doing wonders with the Office for Aging, and every time you turn around, they cut her funding. They're cutting her funding from the county, from the state, from the federal government. You wait until we find out what they cut out of the federal government. It's all the seniors, you know. They threw us under the bus. Our Medicare, Medicaid, our Social Security, that's where they're saving the money. They're not taking one penny from the super rich, though. Okay, you're on, Marianne, with that rant.
Well, I don't know how to really respond to that first part. We have not been cut as yet. In fact, the state has recognized that the Office for the Aging is a very vital program.
Yeah, I'm including Epic in there,
and,
which just got chopped.
Yeah, Epic is undergoing some changes. Yep. But we were spared as far as budget cuts in the state budget. We're still waiting to hear about the federal, and of course the local budget. I think we're starting to gain some understanding from our local legislators of how the Office for the Aging fits in the scheme of things. I think sometimes people used to think that because it's a non-mandated program, it's not necessary. And the reality is that we help those people who are just above Medicaid and welfare levels. We help people who are well above that too, but the majority of the people who receive our services, especially our home services, are not far off of Medicaid. And so if you don't have these services, within a few months, not a few years, a few months, they spend everything that they have and wind up on Medicaid and on welfare. And so I think we're starting to make headway, but I think more and more seniors need to advocate for their programs. But we have to be responsible. I know our seniors people understand. They've been through the Great Depression. They've worked hard all their life. A lot of these programs, Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, do need some reform. They don't need cutting. Across-the-board cutting hurts people.
Yeah, like
but
they cut $500 billion, half a trillion
right, and
out of Medicaid.
Well, we don't know how that's going to trickle down yet. Right now, we know that it's going to be a lot of defense spending cuts. They've said discretionary funding, but they haven't actually said how.
That's
so
what
there
we're waiting
is,
for.
there is, right, but there's a window of opportunity that we as responsible citizens need to talk to our elected officials and say, look, this needs to be revamped. It's 50 years old. And the problem with a lot of our programs is they keep adding a new program and they never go back and see how the things should be combined to work better. Because there is waste in the system, but you don't get at the waste by across-the-board cutting. You have to go back and look at these programs, see what is actually working as a safety net and what is not, and take the things out that aren't working.
Yeah, like for instance, the billions, tens of billions are spending on how to get away from the oil imports. I think they have 16,000 government employees in the federal level who are working on how to cut back on our use of foreign oil. And of course, it's gone, the 20 years I've been in operation, our foreign oil consumption has doubled and redoubled. So there's a wasted program, totally wasted.
But let's get back to like welfare. I mean, welfare and Medicaid, some of those programs were never meant to be, welfare especially, we weren't meant to have people grow up on that system.
Well, you're quite right.
We were,
3 generations, 4 generations.
It was supposed to be a safety net for people. And the problem is that it's almost harder. I'll tell you an example. I knew a lady whose son had terrible disability. He was born with spina bifida. Needed a lot of surgery. Her husband divorced her when they had this disabled child, and she was working as a massage therapist, made very little money. He needed a lot of surgery. And every time he needed a major surgery, she had to stop working so that she could get Medicaid to help pay for it. She would have been very happy, and this is 20 years ago, but I bet going on today, she would have been very happy to pay a portion. But it's kind of an all or nothing system. You can't really buy into it, although now we're starting to make some changes that would allow people to buy into the Medicaid or buy into insurance so there isn't the incentive to stop working, because you'll make more money not working than working. And we want to change the system so it makes it an incentive for people to go to work to be productive members of society, not that they're going to make more money staying home on welfare.
Which they will.
Well, that's the way the system is now.
If you collect welfare, you'll make a lot more money than you could possibly earn.
But that's where we need to get inside the system. We need to revamp these programs that are very old.
What do you think of the report that Medicaid, one of the cutbacks is they're going to chop 11% from nursing home payments? I mean, that's just going to cream the seniors if they do that. Right now, they're not making anywhere near what private pay pays. You know?
I don't know what the nursing homes are going to do. The average cost of nursing home in this area is about $95,000. But Medicaid right now, I think, is only paying like $58,000, $59,000.
Right, and if they cut
so they're losing money on every Medicaid person.
As a matter of fact, your comment is quite correct. A while back, they realized that Medicaid was costing the state a lot of dough in the nursing homes, so they put a moratorium on nursing homes. You can't build a nursing home now.
Well,
you can't build one.
Right. They feel we have too many beds. And the problem is they're cutting nursing homes, and they're also not increasing services like mine, the home and community-based long-term services.
They keep telling us there's no inflation, Marianne, but they don't give you the inflation, therefore. But there is inflation.
Well, the fact is the federal government has done many, many studies. They have pilot projects all over the United States that show investment in home and community-based services to help people with chronic diseases live independently in their home saves money. In fact, there was a study that came out of states in 2009 in the Journal of Health Affairs. You can look this up. It studied all the 50 states, and it showed that the states that spend the most on home and community-based services, like mine and like Medicaid covered home and community-based services, have the least spending in Medicare, Medicaid.
Yes, well, that's where...
And New York State is not one of them.
That's where hospice comes in, among other things.
Well, hospice is just one. I mean,
yeah, but it's a big one, because if you have a senior who cannot function, you have to put them in a nursing care, which is hideously expensive, as you pointed out. But if you have the hospice program, and you can keep somebody taking care of them at home, you will save that $100,000, almost half of it.
But hospice is for people who are, closer to death.
Yeah, well,
we have a lot of people. The average age in my home care program is 82 years old. And we give them home services. They can get personal care, they can get housekeeping, they can get a personal emergency response button, one of those, I've fallen and I can't get up buttons. They can get meals through Meals on Wheels, which we also support. And and they help pay for the cost.
I gotta get out of this picture, Randy. Can we have to spread apart? Okay.
So,
okay, good.
How our services work, say somebody who's had a stroke in the past but hasn't fully recovered, they need a little help with their bath, but basically they can walk around and do their other daily requirements on their own. They might have trouble making food, but they could eat on their own, but they need a little help. If we don't give help in the home, that person goes to the nursing home. If we can,
100 grand a year.
100 grand a year. But this person, say they aren't Medicaid eligible. So if they come to the office for the aging, provided we have funds to help them, we share in the cost. So we have a lady right now who pays about 20% of her home care costs, and it's about $1,400 a year. We pay the balance of it, which is about $8,500, because her home care costs are about a little less than $10,000 a year. So for this, we get grants from the federal and state government, and so she pays $1,400. The feds and the state pay another, let's say $7,000 of and the locals pay a couple thousand of her cost.
We got a phone call. You want to take it?
Okay, sure.
All right, then we'll continue. Okay, go ahead.
It's really cost effective. She is paying into it. The 20% is something she can afford, and she's getting the services to stay in her home and keep her out of the
saving a bundle. Okay, we got a caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. I see in the paper that there's a discussion about the county home being sold, perhaps. Could you speak to that? Because that would really put a lot of terror and fear in people's
Caller,
hearts.
I've been seeing ads now. I've never seen ads for the county home, so it makes you think somebody's running it.
I'm not involved in the discussion of selling the county home. I know that's come up many, many times. But people need to be assured that even if that were to happen, it doesn't mean that those people would be out on the street. Everybody in the county home will be taken care of. So, but that discussion has come up many, many times, so it's nothing new, and it's nothing really for the people to worry about, because the state oversees any sale of any home. I used to work at the Absolute of Dunkirk, which was then the Waters of Dunkirk. It was sold to Absolute. And no one was displaced, no one was put out on the street. And the government, the Department of Health oversees those sales very closely. It does not affect the people living there.
Okay.
So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much.
Okay, caller. Yeah, there is a difference between going from the the government owning a property to private property.
Right, and as I
The
said,
absolute waters was just private to private.
yeah, but still,
are
the
scared.
people are taken care of. There's no change.
No, they're not going to
in-
wheel Mrs. Jones out on the front
No,
lawn.
no. And if people have specific questions, then I suggest they contact the county legislators. There is a committee that oversees